Hi, everyone. It's Andy here with the Westmoreland Symphony Orchestra for our second edition of 6 Questions with a Musician. I know it's a novel title. We are very happy to have Justin Kohan and Max, who just jumped out of the shot there.
She's out of here.
So, Justin, in this series, we're really, folks always say to me, they say, Andy, we really love the great music that the symphony provides, that the symphony creates. But we don't always get to know our musicians and get to talk to them. So this is our vehicle to do that. So let's jump into a question. So
yeah, sure.
As a freelance musician, someone who's going through finishing college, graduate studies, freelancing and all that kinds of stuff, playing with 3 different orchestras regularly, not to mention filling in with others, quite prestigious orchestras, of course. Simply, how can you keep all of that music straight?
Oh, well, it's it's like it starts out at the beginning of the season. I always try and get like the summertime before the next season starts. I always try to get at least a list of all the pieces that I have to play, and I'm trying to see what the biggest pieces are and what ones I'm going to have to put the most effort into learning. So I start working on the big pieces over the earlier summer. And like, for instance, in Akron this next season, we're starting the season with Pictures at an Exhibition, which starts with, just solo trumpet. So
yeah, great trumpet calls.
Oh yeah, it's great. So that's something that I'm going to start looking at. And, if there's like a concert that has, a Mozart symphony or something where the trumpets aren't as involved, Obviously, I'm going to be listening to those parts and learning them, but I don't necessarily have to start learning those, months in advance. And but for keeping all the music straight, like logistically, once the season really starts going, I have a big whiteboard calendar that I have right next to where I practice, and every month I put all of my concerts, all my rehearsals, all my things, what rep I'm playing, everything's written down. I even try to go as far as writing down in there what I should be practicing in those days and those sessions, so I don't really have to think about it as much. Like, I like to alternate on the trumpet. I'll do focus more on articulation one day, slurring another day, and this way I'm not trying to do everything every day. It's not it'll beat me up that way. So I want to stay fresh for whatever rehearsals I have coming up. So I split up what I'm going to do.
I think, Justin, a lot of times when people think of the trumpet, there's usually a knee-jerk reaction that you have to assume that person plays jazz, but that's like the exclusive, like, only thing you can play, as a trumpeter. What's it like for you, when folks hear that you do a lot of orchestral playing as a trumpeter?
Oh yeah, it's great. I mean, if I see people on the street or something, or if I'm meeting someone new and they say, "Oh, what do you do?" "Oh, I play the trumpet." They always go like, "Oh, are you Miles Davis?" Like Miles Davis? And it's like, I am not that cool. I am much.
I would say you're cool. I don't know about that.
I don't know about that cool though. But yeah, I mean, obviously jazz is a huge part of like the trumpet lineage and everything that we do. And, it's difficult to explain to people who don't really understand what the life of an orchestral musician is like.
Justin, I know music has been a part of your life for a long time. When for you, did you really know that you wanted to pursue music as your life's passion, as your life's work?
Oh, well, I've kind of always thought that I was going to be a musician. My both of my parents are musicians, and my mom was she's now retired, but she's a band director, and both of my parents played in a polka band for a number of years, along with my uncle who was in it, my fake uncle. We all have your parents' friends who you called aunt and uncle, but you're not related to them at all. I have a bunch of those, and they were all in the bands and everything. And from the time my earliest memories, I was always surrounded by music, and I didn't even realize that, I never really thought about doing anything else. I just knew that was going to be my trajectory. It was a little bit weird because in the beginning, I knew that I was going to be a musician, and I knew that it was the only thing I could do. And my mind was set on that. And maybe I didn't practice as much as I should have, because I was like, oh, it'll be fine. This is what I do. So, once I started getting into high school and college and everything, I was like, oh, I really should start practicing if I'm going to actually do this, because it's a very competitive field.
Good. Yeah, it's probably like the most competitive field. But no, it's amazing. It's amazing the more that we keep having these conversations that,
Mhm.
that switch, about this is what I want to do,
Mhm.
really hits people at such a varied time in their life. There's
Oh
there's
yeah.
no one answer by any means to that question.
Oh yeah. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
So, but
So,
I've been.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I feel like I've been very fortunate in that I have musical parents, and that for me it's just always felt like something it's what I do. So I'm very
Yeah,
fortunate that
play in a family polka band.
oh well, it's so much fun when we're all playing together. It's a blast, and it's super convenient because we can carpool, uh and my dad doesn't drink
Added
at all.
benefits.
My dad doesn't drink at all, so he's always the DD. It's perfect. But there's there's been a lot of gigs that we've played where that you don't really get paid in cash. You get paid, and you can go to the bar and drink for free. So
Mhm.
it's so that's fun. But growing up playing that kind of music, I mean, I don't know if people are super familiar with Polish polka. I mean, a lot of people think of the German style, which is like the umpas,
Yes.
and that's super fun to play too. But it's a different feel. And Polish polkas are just like straight 16th notes all the
Mhm.
time for
Mhm.
the clarinet and the trumpet. And the other thing that makes it really difficult is that so this is my C trumpet, and
Mhm.
you can see the length here. This is the instrument that I use in orchestra all the time, and the C trumpet is just the orchestral player's standard. But for most people, they have to, like jazz and polka, and even band beginners, everyone plays a B flat trumpet.
Yeah.
If I pull these up next to each other, you can kind of see how the B flat trumpet's just a lot bigger. It's got
Yeah.
more space right there.
Yeah.
So, but because it's a B flat trumpet and it's down a step, you have to transpose up a step from whatever
Mhm.
key you want them to play in. And the concertinas in polka bands are pitched in A and E, which means
Mhm.
that the trumpet player has to play in B and F sharp, and you have to play runs of 16th notes in F sharp major. And
Wow.
you have to look at the parts beforehand.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
something you don't want to sight read on those gigs.
No, no.
But
So for those of us joining who don't know, an F sharp major, um, music, there's a C major, of course, there's no sharps or no flats, and then, but
mhm,
the more you go up in the scale in the circle of fifths, um, F sharp, there's a lot of little sharps in there. So it's not a fun setting to play any type of music.
yeah. Plus, I mean, just the fingerings for where's the camera? The fingerings for the trumpet, like when you're playing those keys, you get a lot of ring finger and middle finger moving around, and
Mhm.
it's not as easy to go fast when you have to do that.
When you're working with a student now,
Mhm,
or having the privilege to impart some knowledge,
mhm.
what bit of information do you hope to share with a student?
Well, I mean, the general thing is that I want everyone to enjoy playing their instrument, and I want people to really feel like this is something that you can do, and whether or not you're a professional musician or not, you can come home at the end of the day and make some music for fun, and it'll be good. But depending on the level of the student, like what I teach in particular is going to be different. I teach a lot of really young kids, and in the beginning it's like I said, when I was learning the polkas, it's just so complicated, and it's really a language, and figuring out a language is it's complicated. So
Yeah.
in the beginning, I want to make sure that kids, when they're studying with me, that they're just having fun playing the instrument. And every lesson try to add one more building block. Hey, this is how flats work, or hey, this is how sharps work. And
Hmm. Hmm.
but mainly keep people engaged in playing the instrument.
Is there an artist or is there a group that you would recommend that WSO listeners should add to their playlists?
Oh, well, I'm super nerdy. I don't really like most popular music. I like
Mhm.
stuff that comes out. I think there's some good stuff, but I can't recommend an album. So the stuff that like I've been listening to is mostly classical, and I found some really great albums or pieces from albums that I could recommend. And one of them is the Pittsburgh Symphony recently released a recording of Bruckner Symphony Number 9,
Yes.
and it is just it's incredible. You should go
Yes.
listen to that. And Bruckner's kind of maybe a little bit more difficult for people who aren't in the business to listen to, just because
Mhm.
it's they're long and it's very dense. But this one's very engaging and it's really cool. And put it on when you're making lunch or something in the background.
Yeah.
It's very good, very good. I listened recently to recording of Mahler 10 with the Vienna Philharmonic and
Mhm.
Daniel Harding.
Mhm.
And Mahler 10 is not really a symphony that people think of very often because he didn't completely finish it. But like the first movement of it's almost half an hour, and he did completely finish that. So I think it's very, very much Mahler, and it's really scary. Don't listen to it before you go to bed. Um, and I had a good chuckle too because the recording was with Daniel Harding,
Mhm.
and he recently stopped conducting to become an Air France pilot.
Mhm.
And it's like, man, he chose the wrong time to be in
Times.
either. So,
Cool. Cool. Cool.
mhm.
Cool. Well, Justin, thank you so much for joining us for 6 questions with the musician. It was great to have you on today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Great.
Glad
Well,
to help.
oh, of course, of course. And, this is all, of course, thanks to the ongoing support of the community for the WSO. And please know, as Justin said earlier, as soon as it's safely able to get back, we will certainly be there to continue to provide the music, and glad to have you online in the meantime. So we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, talk soon. Take care.